and meet a girl, and we would just bring her home and hook up with her, and then in the morning my girl would be like, so are you down to put that on our OnlyFans? And the girl would be like, oh yeah, that'd be great.
I'ma give it all I got, like grinding every day, ain't no other way.
All right, welcome to Embrace the Grind. We are here with a man that actually needs no introduction. He is the host of the coolest podcast in the world. And I think just by that alone, that makes this one a pretty cool podcast, because he's coming on here today to talk about his love of the game of poker. And I know that I have a lot of people that play poker that watch this show. So we're going to get into poker first, but we're going to dive into everything that Adam does. He's a prolific businessman and a hell of a poker player based on everything that's been going on lately. Why don't you tell us about yourself and your poker career?
Okay, so first off, props on everything you got going with the podcast and everything. I watched a few episodes over the years, and you've definitely been killing it. I'm from New Hampshire, Nashua, New Hampshire. And I guess like I was just a pretty normal kid, and then I started riding BMX bikes when I was like 12 or 13, and that kind of took over my whole life. And then when I was 22, I started a website that was about BMX bikes and news and new videos and everything that were coming out. And this is like before blogs had really taken over, and basically just like built a business around it from talking about the thing that I had been doing for like the last 10 years, even at that point.
Have you ever actually had a job, or did you like go straight into kind of doing your own thing?
No, I definitely had jobs. I worked doing, grocery stuff, bagging groceries. I worked in a shoe store. I worked at Sears selling shoes for a long time. I did like landscaping and shit like that, all regular stuff. But I always felt like I was just too creative and just motivated to do something with myself, that I never really felt comfortable with any of the jobs that I did have. So when I figured out that I could, and I found poker before the website. Actually, I can kind of blame poker for that, because I started playing poker online in 2003, 2004, doing that for a couple of years, and also spending a ton of time online, obviously just playing full tilt and party and all this shit. And then sort of also having to spend time online to like kind of keep myself interested when like the tables are winding down or whatever. And over time I started to like realize that the blog space was sort of burgeoning all around me in terms of like hip hop, and I sort of had the realization like, oh, this is going to be a thing in bike riding too. So if I just like hop in front of this, I can, and it worked like perfectly. Within like 6 months or a year, I pretty much had like one of the biggest platforms in BMX bikes, definitely probably by far the biggest actually. And I honestly did that for like 10 years, like, because I just kind of got into that position at like 22. I wasn't necessarily thinking business. I was just thinking like, oh, I'm making a living riding bikes. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't believe it. I moved to Long Beach in 2010 and opened a bike shop in downtown LA in 2014 or 15. And then I started interviewing all these BMX pros. And then meanwhile, at the same time, I like just kind of started to stick my toe in and interview some of the underground rappers that I was around at that time, or that I was going to their shows. And they were very attainable in terms of me being like, hey, I have a podcast, which is like a very new idea to most people in 2015. And so I just started getting all these dudes on, and then that basically ended up becoming SoundCloud rap per se. And then meanwhile, I was kind of just taking that reputation I had or whatever and just going in as many different directions as I could to get all these old school rappers on, and different YouTubers and comedians and porn stars or whatever. And I feel like, it's basically just been my life since then, is trying to figure out like, okay, how do I actually build a business that makes sense out of this content that I just kind of accidentally stumbled onto.
Were you always into hip hop, or was that something that was like later on?
Honestly, since as early as I can remember, when I was in like 8th or 9th grade, when I was 8 or 9 years old, that was just what I was attracted to. That was what I was listening to all the time. I did listen to rock music for a period of time, and I still do sometimes. I listen to like punk and hardcore and old emo bands and shit like that I was into back then. But for the most part, I always was like just so consumed by rap, and then also just really, really fascinated by the characters in rap, and always wanting to really like pry into maybe a person who's like in a rapper's life. He's like the 4th most popular rapper out the crew, but I was always super interested in them and really wanted to understand them, So a lot of my biggest successes in terms of No Jumper has always kind of been from just picking somebody out unorthodox and being like, oh, I'm going to interview them and get their perspective on something, even if they might not be like an A-lister.
Yeah, interesting. So coming from New Hampshire, East Coast guy, were you a Biggie guy or were you a Pac guy?
I was always a Tupac guy, and I definitely like people say that to me now, like as if I should have liked Biggie, and I'm like, I'm from 4.5, 5 hours away from New York City. Like I guess I sort of like ostensibly thought that was like something that I was aligned with, but no, I was always loved Tupac and Biggie. Like I think it's kind of unfair to compare the two because Tupac just put out so many more albums. And I just feel like I really got to like see his whole career unfold in a way that like with Biggie, his whole career just kind of got thwarted really quickly, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For me personally, I was a huge Tupac fan. The album All Eyes on Me was, I feel like, the best album ever made. It was a dual CD.
I love that, yeah.
I literally listened to every single song on both CDs over and over. So I had a huge love of hip hop as well, Snoop Dogg and all that. But I actually kind of fell out of love with it. I feel like the things that we have when we're younger, you know, BMX, like the hip hop, the love that you had for hip hop, the poker. I feel like to ride it out that long, you're still involved in BMX?
I am, yeah. You know, I still have a team, and like we're working on a DVD right now, and like, you know, I still go on the trip sometimes. I'm going to New York with them in August. But there are a lot of interests like that just make sense to you when you're younger and then don't make sense to you when you get older. And if you don't stay in it, then it's like very easy to age yourself out of it. Like it would be kind of surprising to see like a 45-year-old dude just decide like I'm going to be an online poker grinder for a profession, you know. But when you're like 20, that sounds like the best thing that you could fucking imagine, you know. Like we were just having conversations about how like I think being a poker pro, when you compare it to having a job, could seem like the sickest thing on earth. But then like once you become established enough as a poker pro, you start to think about like what other people's lives are like, and you're like, oh well, some people are really like building equity long term in businesses and projects, and they're creating like revenue that's coming in even when they're not working. Or, you know, if you start comparing yourself to like an artist or a podcaster or whatever, it starts to feel like, oh well, maybe this isn't as cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's there's a lot of things like that too. BMX, skateboarding, like nobody gets into skateboarding at 30.
For sure.
You know, it's like almost impossible because it just is like so brutal on your body that it's like you need to learn it young.
Did you feel like that you lost the love of poker for a while, or did that take a back seat for a long time?
Yeah, because I completely quit for like 10 years because I played from like 2003 to 2007, I would say, like every day for probably 3.5, 4 years. And like at first I was doing really well, whether I was running good or I actually was comparatively good at the time, we'll never know. But
I honestly think that if you're winning in that time, you were probably just better than the players because
the
players weren't that great back then.
But then as the years went by, when I like by the time I got to year 3, I started to realize like, oh, this has been like a break-even year. Like with Rakeback, this has been a break-even year. Like this does not feel like the way that it used to. And then, you know, I'm reading forums and like people are kind of talking about like, well, you know, like all these companies started advertising in Asia and now the Asian players are getting good and yet like, and it starts to kind of hit me like, oh, you probably like are not keeping up with the times. But the BMX thing was starting to pop off. And I remember like there was this ad company that came to me at one point that was basically just like, we want to run ads on your site for you. And it was right before the financial crash. And they made me 10 grand the first month off ads, which at the time from YouTube, or not from YouTube, this is way before YouTube ads, but from like sponsors, I was maybe making like 3 grand a month. So this company makes me 10 grand in the first month. And I just like honestly asked myself, like, what would you do if you keep making 10 grand a month off this, which is like impossible amount of money to me, like mind blowing. And I was like, I would quit playing poker and I would leave my girlfriend. And so I was like, well, you probably shouldn't even wait until you fucking run out, until like figuring out if you're going to keep making this money. Like this is clearly what you need to do to be happier. So I kind of just left poker behind in 2007 and when Black Friday hit, I think I had like 2 grand on Full Tilt or something. So I was like, all right, I'll just let that go. But then,
did you end up getting the 2 grand back?
I didn't try. And I remember like looking into it and realizing that I had like missed the boat for trying to get the money back. Like, cause I just completely wasn't following anybody online who played poker or anything. And then I guess it was like maybe a year before. I always say it was kind of like coronavirus pandemic time that I started playing again, but really I just kind of like started watching a couple of different streamers and then started watching more streamers and then just like put money on Ignition and lost it, and then like kind of put money on ACR and started to kind of run it up. And then when the pandemic hit was when I actually like really started to try to work at getting better and stuff, because I just started to realize like, oh, you feel like overwhelmed and kind of sad and upset like way too high of a percentage of the time when you're playing poker, because you just aren't prepared for these spots that you're finding yourself in. And you know, like, so that kind of made me real motivated to start picking away at the things that can make me better.
Yeah, I feel like watching streamers is, I've never really understand people that watch streamers that are like video games, you know?
Right.
Because like, why don't you just play the video game? But I understand poker because like it's such a skill game, or chess or something like that, where you can watch people, and there's so many high level players playing on that. But I know you did more than that too. You were involved in like some coaching sites, and you were really taking it serious.
Yeah, BBZ, I reached out to him early on because I heard some streamers say that BBZ was like one of the best tournament coaches. So I just hit him up, and he just was like, yo, I'll coach you. Like, let's just start doing an hour a week. And he actually like started digging into my poker tracker, and like, just, you know, the amount I learned in such a short period of time of him being like, oh, you're blowing it in the small blind. Like, let's go through 200 hands in a row where you didn't do the right thing with the small blind, or like, oh, your 3-betting pre-flop is not aggressive enough. Let's look at a bunch of spots. And like, you know, poker's super interesting because he's like, most of these spots where you didn't 3-bet, you don't have to 3-bet, but you have to 3-bet more than you're 3-betting. So you have to like start doing that more. And I mean, that to me with my game, just, I mean, even just the blind stuff, like what to raise on the button, what to defend in the big blind, what to re-raise, what to do in the small blind. I mean, that was just like this revelation that he was able to deliver to me so quickly. And I still like study and pay attention to stuff, but it's definitely like during those initial coaching sessions, it was like the most dramatic improvement in such a short period of time, because he was just able to like hone in on my errors so quickly.
That's one of the crazy things about poker in general, but all kinds of disciplines. It's like, the more you learn, it like opens up this thing where it's like, holy shit, I have so much more to learn.
Right.
And when you're like saying like, oh, I'm studying the small blind, you can literally see, because these databases will track all of your hands, you can literally see like, how many times did I have ace queen in the small blind? Like, how many times did I call? How many times did I 3-bet? How often did I c-bet flops? And like, there's just so much information that you get to dive through.
Yeah.
That was the earliest way to study, and it's obviously still effective if you have the hands. Since Adam and I are rapping about how to play ace queen from the small blind, I figured this would be a great opportunity to tell you guys that nowadays there is software that tells you exactly how to do just that. Without getting too deep on how solvers actually work, I'll just tell you that studying solver software is the fastest way to improve your poker game. The solver and the GTO trainer that I personally use is Range Converter, and I'm going to drop a link in the description and in the comments for 10% off a subscription to their solver software. And if you're not a poker nerd like me and don't care about investing and studying, but you still want to show love to the channel, support the Adam22 podcast here today, just drop a like. It's free, and it's all you need to do to say thanks. Let's get back to the podcast. I want to rewind a little bit. Was poker and the blog, like, were you destined to like kind of be a businessman and an entrepreneur? And was that in your family at all? Like, did your dad do that? Your mom do that, or anything like that?
No. When I look at my whole family tree, there was never anybody who like owned a business really that I knew of or anything like that. My parents actually I used to tell my parents, I'm not going to have a job. And my mom used to say, yes, you are. Stop fucking talking like that, you know? But I just was like really confident that I just was creative enough and had enough energy that I was just gonna create something out of my life. And I like, you know, it took me a long time to really start to figure out how to like, you know, shape that, because I don't know, like I never really felt like now when I look at the new generation of YouTubers and content creators, it's like, oh my God, this blueprint is so nicely laid out here that if you start playing video games or you decide to be a Twitch streamer and you actually have the personality or whatever, then like I see people just blowing up so fast. And it really was like uncharted waters at that time. Like I was looking at BMX pros and I was looking at, you know, people in bands that I was hanging out with and shit like that. And I thought it was dope, but like to be an influencer or to like build a platform was still like so new. But when I look back to like, even when I was really young, 7th, 8th grade, I was like on message boards, and I look at that now as like my earliest content creation, where I was like writing a joke as a message board post, or like posting up some thoughts about something and getting like 100 responses and just being like, oh fuck yeah, that feels so good to like actually be putting shit out into the world. And when I look at the blog thing, it was like, oh, I just took all that energy I had from posting on message boards and converted it into, this is, you know, I'm gonna do this and create a business around it, you know.
It feels like you were kind of like early on a lot of internet stuff. Like you were in message boards, you were writing blogs. Did you get into YouTube early?
I got into YouTube in 2012, which kind of kills me because I remember in 2007 or so that we basically made some videos that were like vlogs. Like me and a bunch of my homies. I had this one friend, Day Day, who was just like the funniest fucking black dude from Brooklyn you ever met in your life. And he like, we did one and he was being so funny and he was talking all this shit about people's bikes and stuff. And I was like, we got to keep doing those videos, even though like nobody had made money on YouTube yet. So it's like, but I was like, this is fucking dope. And I just remember that somebody got in his ear and was basically like, yo, like you're acting like a clown on camera for like YouTube views or whatever. And he like immediately kind of fell back and didn't want to make those videos anymore. And I wasn't so invested in it that I bothered to like keep it going. I just was like, whatever. When I look at that now, I'm like, holy shit, like could I have been like a BMX Jake Paul in New York City if I had like, because 2006, if I had kept making those videos and really been on top of it, it would have been like, it would have really stood out in a way that like kids do that exact shit now and it doesn't really get that much attention. But in 2012 was when I think it really hit me of like, oh, I have to start making content on YouTube. Like I have to figure out how to talk into the camera. I have to figure out like, and I just started to like make videos where I would just go out riding with my friends and film everything and just kind of kept like honing that muscle of making shit go viral and figuring out like what kind of thumbnails would work. I remember like pretty much the month that I stopped doing the BMX content or like fell back and let these other dudes handle it was basically like I had my first $10,000 month on YouTube, and this was after grinding for probably like 3 or 4 years at that point. And that was always the number I was trying to hit. It was like, I want to make 10 grand a month off YouTube, and that'll make me feel like I've really built something here. And I was just hovering around like 3 grand a month for fucking forever. And then finally I made a vlog, like a regular vlog. And at one point some cops kicked us out of the BMX spot. And so I just titled it BMX versus Cops. And it was like just a bike rider standing next to some cops. And it just got like 3 million views right away. Wow. And like, so that shit was really working and really starting to catch fire. But then like No Jumper started popping off at the same time. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do this. This just feels like it's the right path for me. And I just felt that's the one thing about doing podcasts is like when I compare it to some of my friends who have brands and they basically like, what do? They make clothes and they sort of figure out how to put the same logo or like a similar logo on like a million different articles of clothing, and they do all this stuff around that and everything, and I think it's dope. But for me, it's like I get so bored so fast that it's like I feel like I have to be a podcaster because I have to be having new conversations every day, and that's like ultimately the thing that just made me like, okay, this is going to be the thing that's going to hold my attention in life. I could imagine myself doing this for 10, 20 years, however long, you know? Yeah.
I mean, just listening to you talk, it sounds like most people get burned out on YouTube in general. Like to have a 10-year YouTube career seems borderline like crazy. Like, I don't know if that's like because you built a system, you had like brought in help at the right time to keep you going. Like, how were you able to maintain for 10 years of content over and over on YouTube?
Well, like 2012 to like 2015 was basically me just doing BMX stuff. So I'm like making vlogs and stuff, going out riding with the guys. And then that started to just get so boring to me because I was like, I can't just go to the same skate park with you guys again and just like point the camera at you guys and try to film some tricks. Like it just was starting to feel so dull to me. But then meanwhile, it's like a week of me doing No Jumper might be like me interviewing some 50-year-old rapper from Memphis that I listened to when I was a kid. And then I'm interviewing some 16-year-old kid with pink hair who's going viral. And then I'm interviewing some YouTuber and like having to get ready for all of that and like just try to do the best job that I can and do as much of it as I can. Like I just really appreciate that. And I mean, over the years, I just started to realize the value of content. Like I have a really good friend, DJ Vlad, who just very early on just like embraced me and just kind of started giving me advice about like what I was doing content wise. And he just made me realize how big what I was actually doing was, because he'd been doing it for many, many years more than me. He's like, bro, I interviewed Cardi B before she was like a #1 star. She was just a regular person. When I interviewed her, he's like, think about how many views I've got and how much money I've made off of that interview over the years. He's like, he interviewed the woman who accused Tupac of rape.
Wow.
You know, like heavy shit, like real deal history that will go down in the history books. Like it's fucking, I don't know. I just really think like content creation, and I see it even with like a lot of the poker dudes. Like realistically, I would not be as into poker as I am if it wasn't for the handful of streamers that I watch every single thing that they upload, and it has just fully like made my brain want to just like keep learning. You know.
You mentioned that some of these interviews that you've watched. I've actually seen this Vlad guy on YouTube before, but has he ever shown his face on YouTube?
He has, yeah.
Okay, because every time I've seen any of his videos, it's just like cropped in.
The vast majority of him, he doesn't show himself, which I think is smart. Like it's different than mine, because mine is kind of all about the vibe and it's all about us just hanging out. But then with his shit, it's like he's making content that is perfect to sell to a documentary company or a TV show or to basically utilize in a million different ways. You know, you cut his voice out of it and you just take those clips. Like it kind of in a lot of ways has like a longer shelf life by taking yourself out of it, but then it also kind of doesn't build a brand that's as differentiated, you know?
For sure. You have like an Adam22 brand now.
Yeah, like just me putting myself on camera for all those videos, it's like there's a reason why I fucking had to say hi to 50 people walking over here or whatever, is because like I'm just in all those videos, and at some point it just takes, you know.
You got your haircut today. There's a reason why they're making an Instagram reel of your haircut within 20 minutes of you leaving the place.
They did. I didn't know that was gonna happen. No, you know what was funny on the way here is one of those girls who wears like the blue wings, and like you're supposed to like take pictures with them or whatever, or they're trying to get you to go to a strip club. One of them asked me for a photo. Yeah. And I was just like, that's funny. Like that's the opposite of what normally happens here, I guess.
I mean, you're very like, you have a very distinguished look. You have all the tattoos and you're easy to spot in a crowd. So I imagine being here in Vegas, like it's been nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, I have fun with it, honestly. But like one thing I was thinking about is I bought a piece of pizza in the Paris hotel and I was eating it, and nobody noticed me or said anything to me the whole duration of me eating the pizza. And I was just thinking like, I guess like a person's face is a lot less recognizable if they're like chewing and shoving bread down their throat, which might be a good tactic, you know.
Also the hood, like if you wore a hood and like your tattoos aren't as visible, I think that would be another thing.
The hood is huge, and sometimes like I'll have to like go to the mall on like a Saturday to buy a gift, and I'll just wear a mask and I'll put the hood up, and then like nobody says anything to me, and it's just such a cool feeling to just be able to like hide.
So hip hop, it's crazy because hip hop has like this pop culture relevance that's like has such like a heavy influence in pop culture, and you being someone who is heavily entrenched in that space, someone who's basically like the media person for hip hop, you definitely have had some culturally shifting, culturally relevant big history moments on your channel. Are there any that you can think of that like stand out as like, wow, this is incredible that I have this captured?
I mean, the one that like really just stands out to me that's just totally undeniable was when I interviewed XXXTENTATION, like, because that was before he had anything really going on. I had just seen some viral videos of him fighting and shit, and he had one song that was popping off, and I interviewed him, and I mean, he just became like the biggest artist of that generation. I don't want to say my generation because it was really his generation. So he was like half my age, but I mean, that was the craziest one. If anything showed me how much these interviews could change my life, it was that one. Because all of a sudden, like a couple months after it came out, I've got like A$AP Rocky's manager wants to talk to me, Future's manager wants to talk to me. Like all these people are trying to sign him, and then I mean, obviously it culminated with him dying as well. But I mean, yeah, if anything had to happen, and that was in like the first year of me doing interviews that I hit that, and that interview has more views, I think, than any other hip hop interview ever. Besides,
I just pulled it up and it had like 20 million views.
Yeah, I think that the Breakfast Club interviewed 6ix9ine, and that maybe got more views, but that was pretty much it.
That's wild. That's wild. Did you where'd you start the podcast? Like we're sitting here in my living room here in Vegas. Did you have like a living room set up?
I had always wanted to do a podcast for a couple of years before I started. And I remember I when I was doing the BMX side of things, that there was this one filmer who I wanted to interview, and I wanted him to be the first BMX filmer that I interviewed because I thought he was so sick. And we did the interview in my living room, just audio, no video. And he hit me up like a day or two later, like, yo, I don't want that to come out. I don't know why he like talked about shit that he felt like was cringy after the fact or whatever. And so I was like, fuck, I didn't put it out. And I did like 1 or 2 other ones, but I kind of like let that get in the way of me like following this. And then when I got the bike shop, it was like the back of the shop was just a bunch of desks. And I just like I found an audio guy on Craigslist and I was like, yo, I'll give you $20 an hour to like hang out in the room while I do this. And he just hung out and like fucking got me going. And
you started with video right out the gate?
Yeah, but my video was just me taking my iPhone and putting it on a bike stand that would normally be holding a bike in the front of the store. And there was some hard lessons learned on that, like the Ugly God interview, which was a really, really big one at the time. Like somebody called me mid interview and it fucking stopped it. Like I forgot about Do Not Disturb, or I don't think there was Do Not Disturb yet. I think I had to go airplane mode. But that happened a couple times where we lost the footage and shit. But then over time,
are those on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I just had to like cut to black
Okay.
once I figured like as long as I have the audio, I could afford to fuck up on the video, right? Yeah.
So have people gone back and like looked at some of those like very early ones where you had like the low budget and with your iPhone and like your back of your bike shop?
Yeah.
Like once you blew up, did those actually start picking up traction and people start going back into your catalog?
Yeah, because I mean a lot of those are just like historic at this point in the sense of like, I mean, you're capturing a screenshot of somebody at this like certain time period in their life, and that's why I really like interviewing like the new young rappers, because, you know, at a certain point, a lot of comedians and YouTubers and personalities, like they had been on camera for, 10 years and they've done 100 interviews and none of them really like seem like they stand out that much. But a lot of times if you get somebody's like first time on camera, they're like really, really raw. Those can be some of the best fucking moments and like the most historic ones. Like I interviewed King Von right before he got killed, and then that just kind of became like one of the most definitive interviews like that showed his life, and it was just kind of being a part of that stuff, like when people are at this primal moment in their career, it never gets old to me.
I mean, we talked about how culturally relevant hip hop is, but there's also some like downsides and some danger to it. I know you talk about people getting killed after they've been on your podcast and how that's blown them up, but you've had some scares yourself. There was a viral moment that caught my attention. I think it probably was viral, where someone came into your office or podcasting area and pulled a gun on you.
Yeah.
That is so wild. And, everyone always says like, oh, if somebody did this to me, did that to me, this is what I would do. But like nobody really knows what they would do until they're in like the fight or flight moment. And I thought that your reaction was really interesting.
Well, that was what was crazy, is that even at that time, and that was 2018, I had a guy with a gun with me, like not a security guard necessarily, but I got a guy watching the door with a big ass gun in his waistline, and that fucking kid slipped in and this dude just didn't pull the trigger. Like he should have shot that guy as soon as he fucking saw him, and he didn't. And that was the whole thing. But I mean, yeah, that it ended up being a fake gun, and it was kind of like, I don't know what he was thinking. I honestly think the kid was like fried off drugs. Like I think it was just some straight tweaker shit. But it blew my fucking mind, and that definitely changed like how I moved around a lot, which is funny because now I'm in Vegas and I feel so like safe. Like I was just at the mall and I'm texting my group chat, and like my friends are like you don't have security out there? And I'm like, no, I'm sitting at a fucking poker table for 14 hours straight. I don't need security. But they're like, but you're at the mall. And I'm like, I came in the mall for like a half hour to grab some clothes real quick. And they're like, yeah, but like, like they're more worried about me than I am, which was kind of trippy. But yeah,
I would say that Vegas kind of gives you this sense of security based on like all the cameras around.
And
the fact that like you're kind of just like a small fish in a big pond with like in terms of money, around.
Yeah.
But hey, Tupac was killed in Vegas. This is not the safest place in the world.
This is true. But also it's kind of what sort of personality you are. Cause it's like, I know a lot of people who are like straight gang members in their music and shit, or they're just super gangster in their music. And like, they have to move around a certain way because there's so many people that look at them as like an opportunity to test somebody and embarrass somebody. I just feel like I put myself out there. Like I'm not trying to act tough. I'm not trying to act like whatever. And I just like sometimes I see video of like Andre 3000 from Outkast just hanging out in New York, riding his bike around, just like kicking it with the people and shit. And I'm like, on one hand, that feels a little crazy because like you are Andre 3000 and like you are just there are crazy people out there, dude. And like, you have enough money that maybe it would be nice for you to have a security guard. And like, I mean, I do like plenty of the time, but it's also like, it's all about the character that you're presenting. Cause it's like, he's presenting himself as an artist and a nice guy. And I mean, I feel like, I don't feel like I put out enough negative energy into the world to like really make me that concerned about a lot of that. Like a lot of the gangster ass shit that I see people get into, I could see either person on either side of that equation and they would just show me love and just be like, hey, I fuck with what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
I just go out of my way to try to keep everything positive that I'm putting out there into the world, you know?
I thought it was interesting, speaking more on that point, there was someone, I was doing some research today, there was someone who was like doxing you, giving personal information about where you lived and things like that, and you just brought him onto your show. That's so wild to me.
So I'm going to let you down right here is that you have been trolled.
Oh, no.
that kid, he did though. He went viral on TikTok for making a rap that was basically like him listing my social security number and my license plate and my grandmother's address. My grandma's been dead for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like all this shit. And like, he did get my attention. And I thought it was funny as fuck that he like put out this rap, like doxing people or whatever. I forget his name, like Lil Shoelace or fucking something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he and I was as soon as I saw it and it was so viral, I was like, all right, let's do this. Like, do the interview, and I'm gonna title it "Adam interviews the fucking dude who."
You were so calm. You were just like, hey man, I don't think that's great that you did.
He was funny. He was wearing like a red Adidas tracksuit with the pants tucked in and like pulled the whole way up and shit. And like, I don't know. Yeah, I was just kind of having fun with that one, but it did get a lot of views. So I guess.
Has there ever been any? See, this is tough because like you've interviewed so many people, you don't want to piss people off, but like I'm sure you've interviewed people that you didn't want to interview and you didn't like them, or you did it because it would bring views and things like that. Those conversations have to be tough.
Yeah, and I mean, I do get a lot of comments from people who are like, sometimes you'll have someone on your show and they won't be giving you anything, and you just thug it out. You just fucking keep it going, like somehow. And I'm like, yeah, like you really have to go in there kind of like with your ego just like bent down and out of the way. Like you just kind of like, you can't really go into an interview from my perspective. Like I just try to be as open as possible to whatever they're going to give me. And it's like very rare that I get mean or like angry at the person. Mm-hmm. But like I had an interview recently that went viral where I was interviewing this dude, Ralphie the Plug, who's the younger brother of my homie Draco the Ruler, who got murdered about a year ago. And, he brought his manager with him, and his manager was being like really aggressive towards me and kind of just talking crazy to me. And at one point in the interview, I just start barking on him and I just start like really kind of turning up. And it was like the first time I think that the audience has seen me get that mad.
You're not coming in here with a very like conciliatory vibe. Why are you trying to gas it up and make it like we're supposed to still have fucking energy? You're being way more aggressive than he is.
And I didn't like get like mad, like really out of character, but I just like heated it up for a second to just let him know I wasn't feeling how he was acting. And it was weird because I was just like, oh, that's right there is the thing that I never do on camera, even if I want to do it. Because sometimes you just feel disrespected and pissed off, but I feel like anger, usually the first person to get angry in a conversation on a podcast is the person who takes the L. Mm-hmm. Like you keeping your cool is paramount to everything. Like you just don't want to, the internet is all about like not getting bothered. Like the person who cares the most is the person who loses.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. And I had to learn that the hard way. I've had some incidents where I've clapped back at people and it just like it didn't help me at all. So I think that kind of demeanor like helps in poker a lot. Like you're obviously going to face adversity or be around people that you don't like, and being able to like keep your calm in those kind of situations is obviously going to help you in poker. And you're playing the main event, man. I've been telling you to play this thing for so long, and it's nice to see you mixing it up in there. Beat your table, day 3 coming up.
But what I was thinking about with that is, a lot of times you start like end up in these little leveling wars with people at your table because you'll like, check raise them with nothing, and then they'll fold and you'll show them or some shit. And then all of a sudden you can just tell that they have a fucking grudge, chip on their shoulder all of a sudden. But I like sucked out, or I like did some gangster ass move on like a real pro who was in the big blind from the cutoff. And then like the next hand I open, he calls, flop comes, I see bet, he folds. And I'm like, a lot of players would just not want to mix it up with me so bad after I just kind of clowned him. But that's like a real pro right there, is that he probably just had jack shit, and he was right. Like, I had a fucking ace, and there was an ace on the board, and he folded, and I'm like, that is really where you need to be at as a poker pro. You can't be like mega vengeful and just decide like, oh, I'm gonna 3-bet everything. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Since you've been creating your empire, have there are not very many live tournaments that you've played.
No, this is the first 2 that I ever played. Was the main event and the $1,000 bounty.
$1,000 bounty. You went super deep. You got 25th place in basically your first live tournament.
Yeah.
And that was like probably your first Hendon Mob entry.
I guess, yeah. I haven't looked to see if it exists yet, but I guess it will eventually.
You're creating a Hendon Mob right now, and then you follow it up a couple days later playing the main event. Tomorrow is day 3. I actually had a feeling that you would be up for this interview because I saw on your
that I had nothing to do today.
Yeah, I saw on your Twitter a couple days ago when you had a day off. You decided to play some poker, and you said it was a miserable experience. You were playing with some people that were just taking the game so serious. The atmosphere was not fun. Cash games, obviously.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't play any cash games while I was out here, but I think you're thinking about. I came out here to do a couple other people's podcasts and just went and I was all hyped, like, oh, I'm gonna play fucking cash at the casino, and I just like am playing 2-5 and 5-10, and it's a very dead, lifeless environment in there. Like, in comparison to like a lot of times, the only cash I'll play in LA is I'll go play on the Hustler live stream, and it's like I'll play like 5-6 hours on live, bunch of crazy players, bunch of funny players, everybody's having a good time. A lot of times I'll feel like I'm damn near the best person at the table, and which says a lot because I'm not some crazy cash guru at all. But like that in comparison to like just playing 2-5 against a bunch of people with their headphones in is just like, I don't know. I don't think that's a real life that I would want to have for anyone almost at this point.
So you've been out here for a solid week here in Vegas without both your girls, your wife, right? She's your wife?
Fiance,
and your new daughter who's year or 2 years old.
1.5 now.
Congrats, by the way.
Appreciate it.
On both accounts. And the business of Adam22, the business of No Jumper, is a massive business now. So like, what does it take for you to leave that for an entire week to do this, chase this main event?
Right. So it has been hard because the last couple of main events, I honestly don't think I would ever miss it again. Like, I think I'll probably play it every year for the rest of my life because it's so fun and it's so worth taking a week off work, But like I remember the last main event that I had, the Complex gave us like a booth at their trade show, and it was like, fuck, if I go play the main event, then I'm going to be leaving like 12 of my employees to just hang out at this trade show without me. And everybody's going to be asking where I am the whole time. And I'm going to miss out on meeting all these fucking rappers and celebrities or whatever. And I would kind of just rather play a poker tournament for sure. But I was like, I just can't like abandon my business. Like, I have to be around for this kind of shit, But this year I put this in my calendar like way in advance, and I just told my girl like, yo, I'm going, like, no matter what, like, I'm just gonna do it. And she was like, okay, like just do it. And honestly, that's why I'm so comfortable now though, because for years and years it just felt like I was having to grind out all these fucking interviews to make money, and like with a lot of stuff that we have figured out, whether it's like our Snapchat show or our Facebook page or like our Clips channel is huge, like having all these different hosts so that there's lots of new content coming out even while I'm gone, because I've basically been gone like 3 weeks over the past month. I went to New York for a week and did mad other people's podcasts. I went to Nashville and Pigeon Forge in Tennessee with my girl, just to have like a week of doing family shit, and then I've been here for a week. And I really like, I look at the YouTube numbers over and over every day. It's like, it's fine. Like, it's not as crazy as it could be if I was in the office every day doing interviews. But I mean, I'll go on a trip for 5, 6, 7 days and then come home for 3 days and do 10 podcasts in 3 days, and then go back on the road for a week and do something like this. And to the people at home, they're not really like fully absorbing the fact that I'm gone, which is like, that's like a really cool thing to have. And even like, I saw that my team, like one of them put it on their story, they're like filming 6 podcasts today. Wow. And that was like yesterday. And like, I was in the main event, and I'm just like, that's the best feeling ever, to know that my team is actually like having ideas and actually bringing stuff to fruition when I'm not around,
Yeah. Like the business is actually running itself, and you're getting to see it from a forced vacation.
And the other reason though why I like really wanted to just take some time off is because basically like we have a cool little spot right now. It's like two rooms, good amount of space. It's just getting like overrun. We have like 12, 15 fucking people in the office a lot of times, and it's just kind of the AC broke. It's just like pouring AC juice down into like a cooler, and it's like I bought this fucking $5 million building around the corner that we're having it renovated right now, and it's just going to be like the sickest office ever to work out of. Like I'm so overjoyed with the idea that I'm going to be going to this place to work every day, and it's just going to be so much better security, way more easily. We're going to be able to film 3 podcasts at the same time as opposed to 1. So I've just kind of figured like once I get that spot and we're fully moved in within the next few weeks, I'm probably not going to want to go anywhere for a long time. So I might as well do shit like this before I do.
You don't really seem like a vacation kind of guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever travel like for pleasure, like out of the country or anything like that?
That Tennessee thing, that was just like...
I mean, that's family though, you know?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't care about traveling anymore. I've just like been everywhere, like doing cool shit. Like during all those years riding BMX, like I went to Japan. Like I went to Japan with a fucking crew of like 15 BMX dudes, and we just rode around the streets of Tokyo every day for a week. I like can't even consider wanting to go there like after doing something like that with my time there. Like it's the best way to see a city, just like roaming around on bikes and stuff. And like I've been to Japan just on some like hang out and do tourist shit, and it just doesn't really do the same for me. Like I feel like at this point in my life, I've kind of been like a huge percentage of the places that I want to go. So my mind is definitely like way more oriented around I want to accomplish things and I want to build things, you know, like and if I travel, like if I can, you know, if it's for work or if it's like there's a reason for it, then that's probably going to make me way happier than I've done the whole wanderlust thing of like I'm gonna go to Europe and just do whatever, and it's never really like fulfilled me that much, you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like feeling productive.
Did you pick up Kendama in Japan when you were there?
No, I picked up Kendama in like 2015 just because like some BMX dudes that I know, this guy Reed Stark was just fucking with it, and I just started fucking with it, and it's the kind of thing where like if you just keep fucking with it, you're just gonna start learning stuff, and it's like your style is gonna be gross at first, but if you keep fucking with it, then your style is gonna get better. And like for a while, I was just so obsessed with it. And for those who don't know, it's like a 17th century ball and stick toy, basically. And I honestly think like poker kind of replaced Kendama at a certain point for me, though, where you know the same way that I would be like staying up 4 hours like trying one trick on a Friday night or whatever, it's like all of a sudden it became like me trying to like create a block of time on a Sunday so I could play tournaments like instead of that. I don't know.
The cool thing about Kendama, I've never really done it, but I can see how when you're playing it, you can't focus on anything except for like trying to land the trick. Like you can't be thinking about like what work you have, like what you're worried about, stress. Like, no, you're just focusing on this one thing. It's kind of meditative.
And I think part of what got me so into it was that I was in the store for years and years and years. And it's like, I'm meeting all these people and I'm like doing these little meetings with different brands that are popping by, and somebody wants to give me some weed, and somebody wants to tell me about their fucking rapper or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, like it just kind of replaced my phone for me, where it's like, like sometimes I'll notice myself doing the like impulsive thing of like just refreshing Twitter or searching my name on Twitter or whatever. And then like Kendama is just like a way healthier version of that. And like, I mean, there are certain tricks I could show you right now that I would just be like, bro, that took me like 6 months of dialing in different parts of the trick so I could eventually do that trick. But I also have not had that experience in a long time because I've really stopped progressing, and it kind of sucks, but whatever. It's honestly exactly the same as the bike riding thing, where you just like build up to something and then you do it, and you're scared of it, and it feels so good. Kendama's like that, but it's so low risk. And I could have a kendama and start practicing a trick right here for 5 minutes while we're talking. And then, you know, with bike riding, it's like you got to go way more out of your way to do it.
But you did more than just like practice kendama. You actually incorporated it into your business and made it another vertical. You're like releasing kendamas, or?
Yeah, so we were selling all these kendamas out of the store, and you know, there's like a bunch of brands in kendama, and we were not crazy about most of them. So at some point, we were like, well, you know, we know people who know how to make this shit. Let's just make this shit. And so we started making them to sell at the store. And it was kind of like a perfect thing. Because like people come into the store, they want to buy a t-shirt. Well, a lot of times we're like kind of sold out of t-shirts, you know, when we still had the store, like we would, you know, make a run of shirts and then we don't have any more like a couple weeks later or whatever. And we would always kind of try to keep our inventory. Like you just don't want like a huge surplus of any one shirt because it's kind of like a bad look for the brand. But with the Kendamas, we would just keep them in stock all the time. And people would come in and like, you know, everybody wants to buy a t-shirt, but this $40 toy, even though it's like, you know, you're probably never going to use it or you're only going to use it a little bit, it just seems like a really cool collector's item, you know? So we just started selling like 100 a week of them, and we still fuck with it. I'm still plotting on doing another retail store. I really want to get to the point where we do that, but I don't know. The Kendama it made sense to people. People fuck with it. We sponsor like a whole team of pros and stuff now. So, I mean, even though I don't do it as much now, I just like being a part of it and being able to support.
So you mentioned that the pandemic was kind of like a turning point for you with poker.
Right.
Is that kind of like when you started to get real serious with your fiance and started to talk about a family and go down that road?
Well, ironically, my girl revealed to me that she was pregnant like a week before the pandemic hit, like on Valentine's Day.
Total surprise?
It wasn't a total surprise because we had been trying to get pregnant for maybe a month or two, you know, but my girl is so like analytical and just was like starting to freak out. She's starting to be like, maybe you should stop smoking weed. Like, I'm like, oh God. But then, she told me February 14th. And then like, as you remember, like a week or two later, the whole fucking country shut down. Yeah. So that was a bummer for her because she was all hyped to travel and stuff while she was pregnant, like sow some wild oats. But no, we have been serious for like a couple of years before that. And just at a certain point, like, I don't know, we started to like get like older in our way of living our lives where we were just like working our asses off and coming home and sitting on the couch, chilling, watching Netflix together. And at a certain point, we just decided that we wanted to do it. And it's honestly been like the best thing I ever did. Like, it's just it fills me with so much joy that is completely separate from everything that I have going for me business-wise and everything. You know, it's just I feel like I was at the point in my life where I really needed something real outside of just my girl, you know, and like just the kid, just having this like hub of positivity and just love to constantly come home to. It was like really what I needed after like spending like 3 or 4 years straight in the shop meeting people who are like fans of me over and over and over, which is, it's cool, but it's also like, you know, you start kind of, I don't think it really happened that much with me, but you start kind of like believing this like myth about yourself where you just start like, everybody who meets you tells you that you're the fucking man, and you're like, you start like, well, who am I actually? Like, you know, everybody's complimenting me. Like, this is weird. I don't know. Like, I'm just not the kind of person who wants to like buy into that right away necessarily, I guess.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. Did your content with No Jumper slow down during the pandemic, like as a result of like not being able to do in-person interviews and things like that? Yeah,
and we tried to do some FaceTime interviews, which I fucking hated. And then, you know, people weren't really like coming to LA, or people weren't going anywhere for a while. But that also like was kind of good because like the pandemic is when like the first host that we really had success with on the channel was this dude AD from Compton, who was like a rapper and stuff. And I just thought he had a good personality. I'm like, why don't I bring you in and have you start doing a podcast on the channel and shit like that? And like that was the first successful show that we had besides me doing interviews or whatever.
So it was
and
like a solo thing that he was like.
At first it was him and this random girl in the office, and then like we kind of figured out like co-hosts that actually worked with him and everything, you know. And so that was the cool thing about the pandemic, is that I was still trying to grind interviews, but it gave us a lot more time to try to be like, well, maybe we could just build out other hosts who can consistently be on the channel and bring something to the table. So yeah.
So I want to talk about Onlyfans, because that was like your introduction to moving into the adult industry.
This is true, yeah.
And did that start during the pandemic?
So before the pandemic, my girl has been like a big OnlyFans girl for quite a few years. She basically started doing it like right when I met her. And there, you know this guy Vitaly?
Yes.
He's a YouTuber. He has this website called Vitaly Uncensored that I'm not even sure if he's still doing. But it was basically like pranks with like boobs, you know, you'd pay like $5 or $10 a month or something. And then like he'd be doing pranks and there'd be like some nudity. And the company who was doing that with him, they hit me up and they were basically like, we want to do a version of No Jumper that's kind of like this, you know? And me and my girls started talking about it and we're talking to them and they were making it clear that they really didn't want it to be like full sex. And me and my girl kept being like, man, like wouldn't it be sick as fuck if we interviewed girls and then fuck them together? And we just kind of were like, well, what the fuck do we need this other company for? Like, they're going to take 30% of the money. Like, why? Like, it would just be like, what are they going to really do for us that we can't do ourselves? So we started shooting scenes before the pandemic hit. Then the pandemic hit, and like all the OnlyFans girls got like really scared and like stopped shooting for the most part. There probably were some girls who would still shoot with us, but it was kind of like a real like blackout in the industry where like even the most motivated girls basically just stopped shooting for a little while because it was just kind of looked down upon. And then we got that off the ground like maybe like
so the model is you have a podcast, and this is like through your at your No Jumper studios and things like
that. My girl bought a house that she basically rents out to people who are doing fashion photo shoots and porn and OnlyFans shit and everything. So she bought that during the pandemic basically because she wanted a house that she could consistently shoot like OnlyFans type content in, and part of the deal was like, oh, we're gonna have one of the rooms that's really dedicated to us being able to film these episodes and stuff. And I'm super proud of her. Like she's bringing in like a pretty significant amount of money every month from just having it rented out. Like she has like turned the whole garage into a crazy ass photo studio and shit like that. So we're just able to create content out of there. That's one of my big goals long term, is just to buy like we bought like a cool house and everything, but I would really like to have like a huge mansion to shoot the Plugtalk stuff in, you know, just to have like a ton of different rooms that we could do or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just been going great, and honestly it's just kind of, it's cool to have like a business that you're doing with your girl, and obviously if the business involves fucking other girls, that's pretty cool from my perspective too.
It sounds like a pretty fun business model, not gonna lie.
I can't complain.
So is the actual podcast Plugtalk, is that behind a paywall?
So we put like clips from the interviews up on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and everything, and then it's like $5 for your first month on onlyplugtalk.com if you want to see the full thing. But basically it's like we'll do a half-hour podcast with a girl and then we'll just go straight into the sexual part.
Did you guys build out your own payment like platform, or
it's all on OnlyFans right now? Although that is one thing that we're kind of thinking long term, is that we want to start our own site and everything, because I have like a much grander vision for the Plugtalk thing of like, I just really think we could build like a cool porn media company in general.
I mean, basically what you did with No Jumper.
Yeah, and this thing like that we put out one a week of me and my girl interviewing the girls and everything and hooking up with them. That's kind of like just our premiere content, you know? Like I feel like there's a lot of other stuff that we can make and put on this platform, and at some point I want to start, and it's kind of crazy though, because once you start figuring out what it's going to take for you to take payments on your own, you're like, well, that 20% that OnlyFans takes is basically what I'm going to end up giving to a payment processor or whatever at some point.
Pretty high risk industry with chargebacks.
And the credit card companies don't want to fuck with porn. It's a whole thing.
So you and your fiance's name is Lena. Lena. Was you being on her OnlyFans, like was that your first foray into doing anything in like the adult industry?
So as soon as I started getting any kind of clout in life, like by the time I got to like 30,000 Twitter followers or some shit, you know, I'm doing the LA dirtball thing and I'm DMing all these porn stars and trying to kick it with them and shit. And so even by the time I met my girl, I'd already like hooked up with tons of porn stars, I guess, like just because I was just interested in them and like wanted to hang out with these kind of girls, you know, like at that point in my life, I wanted to get fucked up and have crazy sex, and that was pretty much. Now I don't get fucked up, we still do the other part, but yeah, like me and her, I was never thinking that I was going to do porn, but then I was like kind of flirting with it. Like I remember I was in Vegas for this BMX awards show and I ended up fucking these two chicks and like just sort of like filming it. Like I didn't film the actual sex, but I filmed like enough of it that you 100% knew what was going on. And like, and I just remember everybody freaking out about it. And like people I barely even knew were DMing me and being like, bro, like.
Where was it uploaded?
It was on my Snapchat at the time.
Oh, okay.
And it was like everything besides the sex. Like you see the girls and they're like in their underwear snorting coke off the fucking table in the living room and shit like that.
The wheels start turning. You're like, this is my most engaged Snapchat.
It was like the most, but it was weird because it's on Snapchat, so it's like nobody even knows like how big it is. I don't even think you could see your Snapchat views at the time.
Oh, okay.
And but I realized it was like a big deal, and I kind of liked the attention. Like I was like, I don't mind this at all. Like you know. And then when I met my girl, like the first time that we hooked up, or like the second time we ever hooked up, we ended up like FaceTiming one of her friends that I was cool with, and just like we kind of like realized early on that like we really didn't mind people seeing what we had going on. And then like, you know, it would be something where like we would go to the club and meet a girl, and you know, we would just bring her home and hook up with her, and then in the morning my girl would be like, so are you down to put that on our OnlyFans? And the girl would be like, oh yeah, that would be great. Like, can you Dropbox that to me? And they would be like,
oh, you would film it in advance.
Well, we would just film like while we were fucked up. Like we were just like, at some point the phone would come out and we would just be filming shit. And then in the morning, it's kind of like this weird moment because it's like, oh shit, like if the girl's not down, then this becomes a fucking hot potato that you don't want anybody to see. You kind of want to get it the fuck out. But if she's down, then it's like, oh, this is like grade A, like raw ass content that we didn't even realize that we were going to film. Now we don't get fucked up at all because even the idea of filming anything while you're fucked up seems like a little scary to me these days. Because like, you know, when we're filming Plugtalk, the girl has to sign like a whole series of forms saying that she's not fucked up, you know? But
I think it's wild that you've been able to take like things that you love in life. I mean, obviously everyone loves having sex, but you've taken like poker, kendama, BMX, and you just like having sex, and you just created businesses around them. Like most people don't do that with everything they love to do in life.
Yeah.
I feel like poker's coming next. I don't know what you're going to do in poker, but poker's going to be one of your verticals coming to the no jumper umbrella.
It is weird because poker's something where I've seen a lot of the options, you know, like I had like I fuck with BBZ. I've had other coaching sites try to hit me up to do stuff that's like more involved. I'm kind of like, like I only have so much time. I don't really know if I could justify like really putting time into it like that. Like, you know, like it's kind of a goal for me to like get good enough that I can just comfortably play like real high stakes cash, and like, you know, even entering like $10,000 or $20,000 tournaments don't really bother me right now. I don't really know though, like in terms of a business, like what that would look like for me. But
yeah, I don't know.
I'm just happy, honestly, like with poker, to just have it be something I'm really just doing for fun because, you know, I don't know. It's just.
How does Lena think of poker?
She thinks it's great. Like, I mean, she just sees the way I am, where I get super obsessive about different things, and I think she thinks it's pretty cool. She hates that it like takes me away from her with the kid and everything, especially. Like, I really want to be there for all these moments, especially at this point in their life, you know. So it's kind of like. For a while, I would not miss a Sunday. Every Sunday on ACR, I'd be spending like 10 grand in buy-ins. And then at a certain point with the kid, I just realized like, I can't keep doing that. Like I got to pick my spots and be like, you know, hey, I hung out with you all day Friday and Saturday. So Sunday there's the Venom. Like, I think I'm going to play it. And she's just like, okay, yeah. Like, you know, she just wants me to like be involved as a dad and everything. So I have to be kind of selective about what spots I take.
My wife and I have been talking about kids, and like, it's kind of scary because, you know, we get locked into this lifestyle that we really love.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it feels like you haven't skipped a beat. Like you haven't really skipped a beat with like being able to play poker when you want to play poker. Your businesses are still like thriving, yet you're still able to spend time. Do you have help? Do you have a nanny or something?
We do. We have like a couple of people to help us out with the kid and everything. That she's like crazy over him, so it doesn't feel like too much of a loss when I like am going to work for 8 hours. And like, you know, even when my girl's going to work, she's around the kid more than me for sure. But like, you know, it's like you just got to figure out how to balance your time appropriately. And like the poker stuff is definitely taking a hit. Like I just don't have enough time to like play as much as, you know, like I would just like to play like a good Sunday. Like, but then even though I say like I love to play like every Sunday, but then it's also just like, bro, you can't. There's so many different things you could be doing with your life that to just put in a 12-hour session every Sunday, just kind of, I'm always kind of battling against that of like doing it because I love it / like, oh, well, I could go to like this rapper's fucking pool party this Sunday, which would like realistically, I'm probably going to meet a shitload of people and it might be really good for me business wise. And I can make content versus like, no, I just love poker. So I want to play poker. It's always like, it's just tough for me to make that call. I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. We were talking about this when you first got here. When you're just playing poker, you're trading your time for money.
Yeah.
But when you're going to that pool party, you're actually it could actually turn into, you know, an interview or connections that could like bring a sponsor to the show or whatever.
Yeah.
So it is tough making that decision, and I'm just now getting into it late in my life where it's like, I think that like talking about having kids and those kinds of things is like really woke me up to the fact that like I can't trade time for money for my entire life. So we're doing things like the Embrace the Grind podcast. You know, my wife and I are talking about getting on Onlyfans. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Let's do it.
No, it sounds like pretty lucrative though. You have like an insane number of business verticals that you're just like building this massive empire on. It's fun to see you in the poker space. It's fun to see you crushing in the poker space. I'm glad that we have you, man. It's so nice to have people that are mainstream, that are willing to, you know, bring a positive light to the poker industry. I love that they put you on the featured table, and you were saying that you were chatting it up even though you weren't on there the whole time.
Well, but that's funny because like today there's this whole thing where what was his name, Ike Haxton said something on Twitter you've probably seen about basically kind of throwing shade at like the Barstool guys or whatever, and it's like, I don't know. I had a tweet. I wasn't like directly addressing him or whatever because I mean he's a legendary player. He's fucking been doing his thing forever.
He's a curmudgeon though.
Oh yeah,
he really is. He's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like trying to get into any kind of personal shit with anybody, but I just feel like poker. A lot of people in poker, when you're like in it and you see how many people come to the fucking main event, you see how many people playing that $1 million bounty. You're like, no, this shit is huge. But I mean, poker has definitely lost a lot of its like pop culture clout that it had when I got into it. Like me getting into poker, when people are like, how'd you get into that? Like that's an interesting thing to get into as a 19-year-old. I'm like, it wasn't that interesting to get into it at 19 then because every TV channel was fucking playing poker at night and everything. And like the main event, Phil Hellmuth, all these guys were on TV constantly. ESPN was fully invested into making them superstars, you know? And it's like poker's lost a lot of that, and poker needs as much mainstream attention as possible. And it's like, I don't know, like to see the Barstool guys here fully embracing it, I think is probably one of the best things that could happen. If even like 1% of Barstool's fan base were to become like people that played the main event every year, that would be one of the best things that could happen. Like I'm posting updates on my story and I'm having people DM me and just saying like, bro, I never knew what a poker tournament would be like, but seeing you do this, it's like really making me want to go play. And you know, I think that's probably like the best thing that could happen is just people seeing what it is, thinking it looks fun, and wanting to give it a go.
The main event is something special. It's something that, like you said, you play it once and you just feel like you're never going to not play it again. Yeah. And as someone who creates poker content and, you know, uploads stories about poker all the time, my fan base is very heavily centralized in poker. The number of DMs that I get during the main event specifically is crazy. Like people are just like probably a 10-to-1 ratio of what they would normally DM poker related. I'm curious on your DMs because obviously your fan base isn't so centralized in poker.
Right.
Are people DMing you a ton about the main event specifically?
Yes, and they all think that when I have 1 million chips in front of me that I have won $1 million, and
more than your actual just normal DMs.
Oh. Yeah, well, like the only thing that's been on my story for like the past week has pretty much been poker stuff. Okay. So it's like, it has been kind of crazy to realize like how many people who don't play poker are like invested in my $1 million bounty run and shit. And like, they're like, bro, like me and my homies are all like sweating you from fucking reading this stuff. Like that's honestly been like an amazing feeling because I don't know. It's like with poker's kind of a weird spot where it's like, you see the vloggers doing super good. And then in comparison, the biggest tournament streamer guys are realistically maybe like 10% of that or like 15-20% of that, which that is kind of like counterintuitive to me as somebody who loves playing tournaments online. But the fact that Brad Owen can just casually get like 400,000 views on an upload, it just kind of like says a lot about how the audience for poker really actually, the potential audience is really fucking big. Yeah. You know, when I see Daniel Negreanu getting $250,000 on every video and he's fucking old as shit, I'm just like, wow, like that's a really good sign that his fan base is still pretty strong, even though, you know, it's 20 years removed from ESPN trying to turn him into a hero, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the things that really works on poker YouTube specifically is is storytelling.
Yes. And I see you going hard with it on your TikTok and everything,
Yeah, I've been trying to do that lately, just because it's so much easier. I have an assistant that I just got, and he also plays poker for me, but I have not built a full team like you have. But I definitely want to go down that road of doing that, because I love telling stories, and I love being creative. And this has been like, honestly, it's like saved my life, really, because poker was something that was draining me, because it was just like my whole entire life. So having these things that I've been able to be creative with, these outlets, has been really awesome. And it's great to see people like Brad Owen, even though it doesn't seem like he's telling stories, he actually is. Like he's walking through a session that he plays.
Right.
And there's ups and downs in the session. He throws in jokes here and there, and like, he's very relatable. I love Brad. I love what he's doing. He's bringing a lot of positive attention to the poker space. So yeah, and I really appreciate you, like, being vocal about playing poker, because, it's obviously, it's not your vertical, so it's not your like demographic. So it might take a hit to your algorithm when you're throwing that poker stuff out there, but seeing you share it, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and I think about that sometimes, how like, if I wanted to just be as big as possible, or if I wanted to really like, it's very tempting once you reach a certain level of prominence to like only do things that are really, really popular. Like if I were to become a Fortnite guy, I'm sure if I had spent the past 2-3 years that I've been like working on poker playing Fortnite, that I would be a pretty competent Fortnite player right now. And I'm sure if I streamed that I would kind of get a lot of views or whatever. But it's like, ultimately I think I just want to do shit that I'm excited about and that I'm happy about. And you kind of like at a certain point, like there was a time period where I only wanted to tweet shit that I knew would get a couple thousand likes, or if I only wanted to tweet if I was going to post a video that would go viral or whatever. And at a certain point, it's like, well, why the fuck do I even have a platform if I'm not just going to be me? And if me tweeting about poker means that I lose some Twitter followers or whatever, like, what the fuck? Like, you don't want to like orient your whole personality about going as viral as possible when you could just be yourself. I think at a certain point, like I went through that period of my life where I was just so thirsty for clout that I kind of found myself doing some shit that doesn't seem great in retrospect. And I still see it where like there'll be a poppin' new rapper and like people I know will just clearly be just dick riding this dude, just trying to be around him so hard. And I'm just like, you're like a 29-year-old man and you're telling me you want to roll around with this 13-year-old rapper because he's got followers or whatever. Like that's sad, dude. Like my shit, there was times where I was a little bit too close to that, but at this point I kind of feel like, if anything, like having a certain amount of like audience and fans and having a good solid business and money and stuff has allowed me to be more of who I really feel like being,
It's cool, man. Yeah, I've been following you for about a year now, and the reason why I've been following you is because of the poker stuff. I saw you on Hustler, mutual friend of ours, Patrick Curran, the guy that does like
Shout out Patrick, who was railing me when I was on the Poker Go table.
Yeah, he put me onto your stuff, and even though I'm like not really into hip hop anymore, I still find the relevance of it and the influence of it on pop culture to be very intriguing. So I've been checking out a lot of your interviews and appreciate you coming on to Embrace the Grind and sharing your love for poker and introducing you to my audience. They probably already know you since you have the world's, what is it called? The world's #1 podcast?
The coolest podcast in the world.
Coolest podcast in the world. So appreciate you coming on and good luck in the main event, man.
Thanks a ton. Tomorrow, 60 big blinds.
I hope they put you on the feature table again.
Me too.
Did you watch
60
it back?
big blinds.
Did you watch it back?
No, there was a YouTube clip and I flipped through that, and I don't think any of my hands ended up on there, but
Yeah, you got a great table presence, and hey, it's the main event. Anything can happen. You can go on a run here.
I'm excited.
I mean, $10 million. That's still like, I don't care how rich you are. That's like, that's to move the needle.
One time, me and Pav had both made day 2 of the Venom, and I was kind of like on edge, and I'm like DMing him about it, and he just said, he's like, mate, let's try to lock up a min cash and then we'll have some fun and see where we land. And I'm like, that's the best way that I could think of like going into like a late stage tournament is like, like just, and even if you don't get the min cash, it's like, as long as you're happy with your play, fuck it.
The main cash is actually kind of special in the main event. It's an electric atmosphere where they're like running around. I really want you to experience like the bubble of the main event, and it's actually going to happen tomorrow night. So tomorrow's day 3. For the last like 5+ years in a row, it's always been the bubble burst on the last hand of day 3.
Really?
So keep that in mind. They always say it might burst on the beginning of day 4,
Yeah.
but literally like the last 5 years, they've always extended it into the last, and it's going to be like 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's going to be running around, and just like cherish that moment. I know you're going to get there, and it's going to be a fun time.
I'm hyped. I'm very hyped. I mean, my last hand of the day yesterday, I was in the big blind, and a guy opened on the button, and I would assume that he's going to be overfolding to me re-raising here, especially because it's the last hand of the day, and also because he's like a reg, and he's probably just not going to call off like ace-9 off. But I definitely did like a 35 big blind reshove with pocket 4s just for the last hand of the day. It was like mentally I needed to remind myself, like, you do not need to worry about bubble in this thing. Let's just fucking go for every last spot that is plus EV,
No, there's you definitely have an advantage over people. I mean, you obviously have the experience, but being financially secure and not worried about these bubbles is huge. So
my last table of the day, though, I probably had like 4 or 5 like real legit pros with fucking Winamax patches and all this, and then like a couple people that were just like clearly just having a good time. And it really is an amazing environment. And I do want to say that all the pros that I've been at their final table have been like very cool, like totally down to talk about hands with me, like nice to the 60-year-old lady who's playing her first tournament, so I will give the poker world credit in that regard.
that's good. I'm happy to hear that. I hope they're not just doing it because you're there. And,
Most of them don't seem like they know who I am until somebody comes up and starts talking to me, and then they kind of figure it out.
I love it. All right. Thanks again, Adam. Appreciate you. Get some rest.
That's the plan.
And do some work tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching Embrace the Grind. Appreciate you. We'll see you in a future episode.
Appreciate y'all.